The thing about VR is it's truly the most immersive sim.
The immersive sim, you could
Well,
say.
that's one. That's it's the most immersion you can get right now in
Yeah,
your immersive
yeah.
sim. Anyway,
What the hell's wrong
Tangerine.
with your hand?
My friend Dowd came to visit me. Not Dowd, sorry, that's Dowd. The outsider. He came and gave me a present.
Right.
There's no sound for this one because I was using the new Omni sound for action, and it was like I'm going where it lets you just capture the audio of the game you're playing, and for Dishonored: Death of the Outsider footage, it was like you're trying to capture the application sound of VLC Media Player, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's the one.
I'm going to be talking about two games today, and they're both two immersive sim games from I would say one of my favorite studios at this point, because I think I've pretty much played every single Arcane Studios games now. I'm a huge Arcane Studios fan, and I'm a huge immersive sim fan. I love checking out their games. I think the only one I haven't played is
Yeah.
like Arc Fatalis from like 20 years ago, and then of course Deathloop because
That,
it's not out yet. So,
yeah.
but
There's a two.
really,
That's fair enough.
really excited for Deathloop. Big Dishonored fan. I think it was about a year ago, around like around a year ago this time, sometime around like June, July, something like that. I played through Dishonored 2, and I played through the full, um, never seen, full stealth, and
Yeah.
never kill anyone. And
Yeah.
I think I was like, for Dishonored 2, for Dishonored Death of the Outsider, I was like, let's just have a fun run where I just like use powers and kill everyone and stuff like that. But then I was like, but there is another achievement for not being seen in this game, and it would look pretty
That's
cool to have two of
okay.
those side to side together in my profile, which I do now.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
That's what you're going for, was it? Okay.
But in Dishonored Death of the Outsider, they actually changed it so there wasn't a clean hands achievement. So there isn't an achievement for completing the game without killing anyone. There's only one for completing one level without killing anyone, which I just did in the first level.
Right.
So I found it a lot easier when I was like, I can just kind of kill people with darts instead of like having to knock everyone out. Um,
Sounds pretty useful. Yeah.
so I was doing more of a like a killing assassination, but it doesn't. The thing about Dishonored: Death of the Outsider is it's kind of like, to put it into terms that you understand. It's kind of like the quest for booty equivalent in a Ratchet and
Right.
Clank
Right.
franchise.
Yeah. So I guess for those who don't know, Quest of Boot came in between
It was part of
Back
the
in Time
PS3
and
Ratchet and
Tools
Clank
of
games,
Destruction.
and it was
Yeah.
basically like the game starts halfway through the game, and it's like half the length of a normal Ratchet and Clank game.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it carries it directly from the one previous, and it's like you have to know, and it's like
Mm.
yeah, it's a lot shorter. It's a lot more story driven. So is that true here as well? Is this like more, like, even more story driven?
Yeah, so you're playing as Megan Foster here. I think is it Megan? What's her name? The woman on the skiff. Megan Dishonored Death of, what is her name? Is her name Megan? Her name's Billy. Billy Lurk. I think. Yeah, yeah. Her name's Billy, and then she like changes her name to Megan Foster as well. That's a whole thing. But anyway,
Okay.
you're playing as Billy or Megan, whatever name she goes by. I don't remember. And um, you have different. Your powers are very different to what they are. So as you can see here, instead of just scanning through walls and moving around, you kind of like freeze time, and then you can mark things in the what, like you can fly through doors and stuff and mark them. That's a very
Yeah.
different power. Your blinking isn't an instantaneous thing. The reason mine's more like instantaneous is because I've got like a rune, and I've got not rune, a bone charm that makes it more of an instantaneous thing, which I would highly recommend if you're playing this on a more of a stealth playthrough. But one of the big things is like there's no runes in this game. Like the only way you get new powers is by getting new powers. The only way you can alter your existing powers is by getting bone charms. Like a lot, it feels like a lot of this game was cut down.
Right.
Because if you don't know, like, so Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, and Prey were released like I think like 4 months apart. And
Oh, okay. I did not realize that.
yeah, they both came out like in 2017, and I know
That's
Arcane has
insane.
two studios. Like they have Lyon in France, and they have like
Yeah.
Arcane in Austin, Texas. But I have a feeling like this was cut back because of the development of Prey. I don't have I'd have to like rewatch like um the no clip documentary on Prey and Dishonored and see if he goes into like whether there was a split development time of the two games. But it feels like it
Yeah.
was cut back because Dishonored Death of the Outside doesn't have any DLC. Like the first Dishonored has DLC. Dishonored 2 didn't have DLC, and it feels like in a way Dishonored Death of the Outsider is kind of like DLC for
Yeah.
Dishonored 2 expanded into a full game.
That's
It,
how like the quest for booty kind of felt like as
yeah.
well, right?
Another thing you can like, there's a different power in this
That quest
game.
going on there.
You can communicate with rats, and they give you hints about the area. This is
Right.
one
Okay.
thing you'll hear me talk about all the time about Arcane. Their like narrative storytelling through the world is amazing. What's that called?
Yes, that is one of the massive strengths.
Like that is something that they're really really good at, and it's something really important for these immersive games. You see here, like I just have these pre-made powers
Yeah.
that are kind of given to you by. So you have displace, you have your scan, you talk to rats, and then you can use semblance to take someone else's form, and then these are all like just pre-established. It's not the customization is like and like the rune builds and the different powers you can choose is heavily cut back. You're kind of given what you're given, and then the only thing you can do to change what how your abilities work is by crafting your own bone charms, which I get like they went a different direction on that, which I think is cool. But I really liked the ability to get runes and forge my own character build,
Yeah.
where it
That does
feels
sound like a better
like
system. This looks.
it's a lot. This game's a lot more cut back in that way, where
Yeah.
you have a
More
lot
basic.
less. It's a lot less of an immersive sim. It's a player choice is a lot more cut back in this, more to serve the narrative, I would say. To
Right.
kind of try and I would say more streamline you through the game. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what it felt like to me. I did really like this game. Like I think it quite possibly has the strongest narrative of any of the Dishonored games.
Okay.
But it almost feels like at the cost of the game itself, like the gameplay and the game itself,
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
on like how cut back everything. Because I think a lot of the levels exist. There's repeats of the levels, and a lot of the levels you'll go back to the same locations and go to places you've already been before. Like it obviously, there's not as many levels as there was in the other games.
It's just sure.
But this,
I was gonna ask though.
yeah.
Do you feel like the story would be worse if they added back all the immersive sim elements, all the customization of like powers and things?
No,
Like,
I don't think so.
no, because that's kind of what I would have thought from what you were explaining.
You still have like the option of whether you want to kill people or let like
Yeah.
non-hostile takedowns or hostile takedowns. You still have like different endings based on what you do and
Right.
stuff like that.
So do you think they just put time into the story and they just took time away from gameplay development?
Yeah, but I mean, there's still really good level design in this game. Like, I would say the
Yeah,
big
it looks
level is
good.
that there's like a bank heist that's really really cool. Like in Dishonored 2, you have like the amazing levels. Is like I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Jindos's mansion in Dishonored 2. I think I spent like 4 hours there on my never be seen non-lethal playthrough, and that I learnt the structure of Jindos's mansion basically just because of how like intricate it is and how like big and
Yeah.
expand. That level's really fucking cool in Dishonored 2 because it basically you like pull levers.
Well, what's going on here?
I was showing you just ran. This is like I'd already finished the game, so I was going back to a level to try and get gameplay. And I was like, I'll just run around and kill some civilians because
Oh
I
my
don't really
God.
care. I just wanted to try and
What are
show
you
you all the
doing?
different like abilities and stuff.
What
You don't
was
get
that
like
ability?
that was a crossbow I was shooting at people.
Okay, right.
That's another big thing from like Dishonored 2. You can shoot like sleep darts across the map, but the stealth in Death of the Outsider, they try to make it harder, where you can get like electrical shots that incapacitate people non-lethally, but when you shoot them, they like scream out. So if anyone's in the immediate area and you non-lethally take them down like that, they'll alert everyone, which is like way less
Right.
powerful than
Yeah.
um, the sleeping dart. So I think they like tried to rebalance like stealth in this game as well. But I think because they did that, that's maybe why they took away like the full non-lethal achievement from this game and wanted to give people more player choice by kind of removing that
Yeah.
achievement. It seems like.
Yeah. Because yeah, kind of like you accidentally limiting gameplay based on achievement, but I guess that
Mm.
is kind of true.
Yeah, because I sometimes I like going and doing games on achievements. I was never a big achievement guy in the past, but I found like I do like to do more achievements now as I've like played a lot more games. Or if I replay games, I'm much more likely to go and do an achievement run
Yeah.
just
Well,
to
if
add
you
some
like,
more gameplay.
yeah, exactly. Like if you like the game, like it's like gives like another excuse to like play the game in a
Mm.
different way. I think okay. I think my criticisms, like I feel like limiting it to just like
So that's
I guess
like
it's like
that's
more
the
than just
electrical
achievements.
thing. So
Oh, okay,
I
right.
shot that guy and he got knocked out, but there was a guard near him who heard him like scream out, so
Yeah.
he got alerted. That civilian. So
I just feel like if you're gonna have like not be seen sort of achieve or not killing achievements, like there should be like more different achievements for different play styles, so there's like even more reasons to keep coming back and playing.
hmm.
Because like I feel like it's a little bit too limiting to just have like one play style as an achievement.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, like with Jindos's mansion, the sort of the time travel
This
level in
looks great,
Dishonored
yeah.
2 was fucking amazing as well. There is a
Yeah.
really cool mission called the Bank Heist, and um, basically a lot of your time in the other missions you spend planning out this bank heist. So and then how you get into the bank will change like what the enemies are doing in the bank. So like for me on my run, I went through the rooftops and there's like a chemist and I put chloroforms in the vents. So when I went into the bank, all of the civilians were already like knocked out. So I didn't
Oh,
have to deal with
nice.
them. But you can also
Yeah.
like you can sneak in through the sewers, but if you sneak in through the sewers, then you won't have the chloroform and everyone will be asleep already, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's different ways to like get into the vault. Like you can just like go loud and break in, or the silent option is actually to crash the vault through the floor, which I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. It's the vault's like suspended on an elevator, and based on how you open it, you can change the configuration of the vault, but you can like break the levers so it crashes through the floor and you just escape through the floor with the entire vault.
Oh, okay,
Um,
right.
yeah, which is
That's
pretty
silent.
interesting. That's the silent exit, yeah.
Okay. Like when everyone's asleep, I guess it doesn't make a
But
difference, but
like speaking about like interesting achievements, there is like I think that level they bring back the interesting achievements because that level there's an achievement for completing it without using any powers, and that makes it like really interesting how you get in because there's certain points where you need to like cross clockwork giants and cross like walls of light, which normally just kill you um, if you just walk through them without like. Is it without using powers or is it like without tampering with any machines either? There is like there's a lot of
different
interesting stuff.
playstyles.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all sound
Um.
pretty challenging either way, so
But anyway, Dishonored Death of the Outsider. If you're a fan of Dishonored, I'd say it's definitely worth a play if you've already played the other games.
yeah,
Um,
sounds like it.
because I still have fun.
I still have yet played Dishonored properly, by the way. Like I've like
Hmm.
completed like the
I'd
first mission and just
recommend.
stopped.
I'd recommend just playing through the original Dishonored. I think that one's really really
Yeah,
cool. Like the
yeah,
story and the world and stuff. And I would say I think Dishonored 2 is my favorite, just based on the level design and the world gets
yeah.
like massively expanded in Dishonored 2. Like you go to like Kanaka and stuff like that. and they're really cool, like non-lethal takedowns and stuff. I mean, I think the most memorable non-lethal takedowns are in like one when you have like the Pendleton brothers, and you can like cut out the tongues and shave their heads, and then make them work in their own minds, and no one believes they're the Pendleton brothers.
Right.
That's like the big
Yeah.
famous one. But yeah,
Still
I
pretty
recommend
fucked
playing
up,
this
though.
game, but it does show that around the same time they were working on another completely different immersive sim, and that there
Yeah.
was no DLC for Dishonored 2, and this almost feels like this was it. Like it feels like a cut down version of a Dishonored game.
Yeah. It kind of says there's no DLC.
It feels like
There's no DLC for 2.
no, there wasn't any
None
DLC.
at all. Okay.
No, none at all.
Okay, that really sucks.
Because Dishonored 2 came out in 2016, I think, and this came out in 2017. Let me just double check that
suck.
for you. Yeah, Dishonored 2 came out in November 2016. This came out in September 2017. So they were almost like, yeah, exactly a year apart, the release dates.
That's insane turnaround.
Well, I assume they're the different studio working on them, maybe. Or I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah, I assume there's reused assets, but you still have to like place them all in.
Yeah, definitely still worth checking out, but I think there's a reason Dishonored Death of the Outsider is like the forgotten Dishonored game. When people go to talk about like Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2, some people
I never saw anyone
I feel like I feel like a lot of people don't know this one exists, so let's move on to the next game, which is really, really fucking cool. The reason that I feel like Dishonored Death of the Outsider was so cut back
is this game.
But guys, it was fucking worth it, because I'm gonna say it now. I think Prey 2017 is a fucking masterpiece of a game. I think this game is legit like my front runner for one of my most favorite games I've played this year. It's up there with like what's it called? Fallout New Vegas. I fucking love this game, and this is guys. Prey's a game I think is much better the less you know about it.
Yeah, because like I've watched like some of the streams that you've done, like showing to other people, but like I've not watched too much.
I've fully completed this game, and this is gameplay footage from when I was playing early on, so this is why I'm like getting my ass kicked. But if you play this game, you will get your ass kicked early game, and I think that's a really cool thing where you can kind of get beat up and then learn like the mechanics, and then eventually like other stuff I was like, this gun is useless. I was like, this gun's the best gun in the game. It's like you truly like learn the value of like the glue cannon and stuff like that. Like at the beginning I was like, the glue cannon is shit, you just kind of shoot glue on people, what is it useful for? But it's like, it's the ultimate multi-tool. Like late game I'm spam crafting glue cannon ammo because I'm like, this is so fucking useful. Because the thing about the glue cannon, I'm going to talk about the glue cannon for 30 minutes. The really interesting thing about the glue cannon is
the glue cannon episode.
You can use it to slow down enemies, but another thing you'll figure out is you can also shoot it on the walls, so you can use it to traverse different areas. The thing about this game is it's like it has like set points where there's story and stuff, but the game's like designed that you can play it in any order. It's so cool. Like you can go wherever you want based on the powers that you've chosen to acquire, and the game accommodates this. Dishonored Death of the Outsider, you're like streamline focused in one direction. It's like almost like a completely linear game. Prey is the complete opposite, where you can just go wherever you want. And I'll talk about this in the next Tangerine because I won't have time in this video, but I've gone back and I've played the original Bioshock game again. I've played the remaster, and there's so many like similarities into Prey 2017 and the original Bioshock game that they have so many like things similar to them. But going back and playing the original Prey game, the original Bioshock game, Bioshock is like a really linear game compared to Prey. Like Prey legit is like really open-ended, whereas like I think it was like what's his name, Ken Livingstone, something like that. He was saying like in Bioshock we made you feel like it was less linear, but it was actually still quite linear, where I think like in Prey is actually More open-ended, what you can do.
Well, so in Praidens, they've got like all the areas are interconnected and like the multiple routes to get to like the same area. Then is that what's going on?
Well, people always said, like, because I saw people complain, like, oh, sometimes you find duplicate items of, like, you'll find a gun you already have. But it's because
Yeah.
the game is designed so if you choose a different route, you can still progress
Yeah.
through the game, sort of thing, which is
Can't you
really
still
interesting.
can't you still use can you not equip that weapon and or not pick up the weapon and recycle it though? Does that
Okay,
not?
another thing that Dishonored made me love. I love recycling now. I'm a huge fan of recycling. You can everything in this game has a purpose. That's not a stall, Tony. That's a fucking alien. Watch out for that, guys. If
Right.
you're
Another
terrified of
mimic.
anything, there's in this game. There's these things called mimics, and they have the AI that they can become anything in
Oh,
the game.
that's pretty cool. Prop hunt enemy.
Yep. Which I'll talk about in the DLC when I've finished gushing over how
Okay.
good Prey 2017 is. I would be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that this is actually a sequel to, obviously, they have the rights to the original Prey, but I don't know if you know anything about the original Prey, but the original
I know
Prey,
nothing about Original Prey.
the original Prey is like a Duke Nukem boomer shooter.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So some people were really confused when this game came out, and they were like, the original Prey is a Duke Nukem boomer shooter, but this game is like a Bioshock, System Shock immersive sim game. And people were like, what the hell is going on? What has this got to do with Prey?
Yeah, okay.
Because Prey's like straight up, you like fight aliens you're in a bar, and you get someone abducts your friends, and you go and fight them. That's like Duke Nukem
This sounds
level
very
plot.
boring compared to this.
Well, it's what some people. It's a different game. It's what I like. Boomer shooters.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like stuff like that. So,
I'm much more.
but here you can
I
see
thought
the
this was much more
recycler.
interesting to me.
So everything. Basically, we exist in 2038. I think it is, or it's sometime in the distant future where it's an alternative timeline. This is like early on. You'll learn about this, so it's not too much spoilers. But in this timeline, JFK wasn't assassinated, and he stayed the president of the United States. And the Cold War ended when the US and the Russians collaborated to build a spaceport. That spaceport was then hired out by a private company for advanced research. So it kind of has that Rapture vibe where it's like, hey, let's do like tons of unethical research in the middle of nowhere where there's no ethics community to see what the hell we're doing. And they start developing these things called neuromods. If you saw earlier, I injected myself in the eye with a neuromod. They basically found a way to enhance human abilities, sort of similar to like Adam in Bioshock, where you kind of stab yourself in the eye, Dead Space style, where you give yourself new abilities. I think the only thing about neuromods was every time you uninstall a neuromod, you forget all your memories. So you don't want to uninstall your neuromods because you'll forget things. The actual beginning of this game is like pretty interesting for an immersive sim because at the beginning of the game, this is like literally the beginning. I think everyone's seen this on YouTube already. But if you've come this far, you've already spoiled the beginning of the game. So I'm sorry, guys, but I did try and warn
Yeah,
you.
it's true.
At the beginning of the game, you start at Morgan's apartment, and you then find out from being in Morgan's opponent that you're stuck inside a simulation. So it's an immersive sim. I heard you liked immersive sims, bro. We put a simulation inside your simulation.
Yeah.
And it's just without spoiling the game, it's so good. I want to say more, but I can't without like explaining just how deep this level goes. The one thing, like, because I'm going to talk about Bioshock briefly, and I'll talk about it more when I talk about it, but like the spaceship, I learnt my way around the spaceship. Like I literally, by the end of it, I knew exactly where everything was without looking at a map. Just because like the spaceship is really connected. Like every room like physically exists where it exists. Whereas like Bioshock cheated this, where they were just like when you went into a bathysphere, it would teleport you to another level. The spaceship of Prey is an actual interconnected huge spaceship.
Well, So so both Bioshock and Dishonored, I guess, like do you that you can't go from like level to level, and like once you go to the next level, you can't go back, or can you go back
Um,
in Bioshock?
in Bioshock, you can go back,
Okay,
but it's like a teleportation system through
but
the
it's still very
bathysphere.
like linear, like going one to the
Yeah,
next, like
and
in
you can
order.
go. You can go back. They introduced going back in through levels, in Bioshock. Not sorry, Dishonored 2 through the use of the carriage system, I
Right.
believe. Yeah. So you would kind of move from level that way, whereas in Dishonored 1, you kind of, when you leave a mission, you never go back to there, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how they did that. I found like the UI and stuff kind of annoying, but once I like learned it, it was fine. I think there is some like mods that you can download to help with the UI
Is
stuff.
it just slow UI, wasn't it? Or like it's like clunky.
It's a little bit confusing because I think it's like it's sort of designed in a way where it makes sense to the person who designed the game, but like from a modern
Okay.
standpoint, it doesn't make sense. But if you
Yeah.
play the game, I was like, you just kind of learn how it works, and it's like it's fine now that I've played it. But like, I think there is like mods on Nexus mods where people have made like UI stuff, and there's small things like you can find maps throughout the games, but then the maps you find for like the side quest content, they are like they're just mixed with your other notes. There's not like a separate maps tab, or there's not like a separate like important audio files tab.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like small UI stuff I think that could be improved in this game, and I think that could easily be done by mods, and I think it is done by mods. But I think generally like the actual game itself, outside of a small like UI stuff, is fucking amazing. I'm so glad I played this game. Like I was like, I have to check out the next Arcane game. I'm terrified of TV screens and stuff in this game because they're fucking terrifying. They have this thing called This game makes you terrified of fucking mugs.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite things about the environmental storytelling in this game is you'll see like a way the game like tells you a story just by showing you stuff in the world, which again Arcane is amazing at doing this. There's like this lab, and you just see like inside the lab there's sticky notes on mugs and pans and pots, and on the mug on the sticky note it says not a mimic. Like the people went around and they put like sticky notes and everything that wasn't a mimic, so they could keep track of where the mimics were. And I was like, that's
Yeah,
just like
that's
a
cool.
that's like a great example of like how to tell a story without shoving a cutscene in someone's face. Like
Yeah.
gamers are like smart these days. Like they understand like if you,
Well,
don't
even it's even
force
like telling a story without
yeah.
like dialogue though, even if you're not going with the cutscene system.
Another really cool thing is like it's sort of like the Rep thing where you're coming into this space station after a disaster's happened.
Yeah.
So you're kind of saying, but you've also because you've had neuromods uninstalled, you've lost your memory.
Well,
So you're
yeah, there's undiscovered information that you may or may not have previously
so
known. I
so
guess in New Vegas sort of thing, right?
so yeah. So you exist in this world, but you don't know how. But there's no
Yeah.
one alive to tell you how you existed, right? So you need to go and explore the world and look at the environmental storytelling to figure out how you existed in this world. Through like audio logs, through like stuff like that. And it's just it's so good. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
it's good to have your character grounded in the world somehow.
wasn't it? I was
And that's a
wasn't it?
good way of
I
doing
was
it.
telling you how good the tech tree was. That having the ability of being able to pick up heavy stuff was one of the most. It
Oh,
was so well
yeah.
so well like developed that it was like a
Well, it
legit like
actually becomes-
really good thing to take in the tech tree. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a perk called leverage, and it's like you can pick
There's
up
a lot
heavy
of
stuff.
things. Like a lot of games have like strength, not do nothing. Like all the other perks are way more interesting. Whereas like, yeah, they actually added something useful to strength, basically.
So you can pick up and throw items at enemies when you get leverage, which is just pretty good for combat. So you can like
Which is
pick
what
up
I thought all
heavy
it was
stuff.
for.
But in this game, leverage is really important because there's like giant boxes and stuff that you require like leverage to in order to be able to pick up. And these giant boxes will block like gameplay paths where you'll be able to get to an area, a certain area you wouldn't be able to get to if you didn't have that perk, or you'll be able to get into an area differently based on that perk that you have. because there's different ways to enter areas. You can use like hacking to open doors, or you could like find the code by following clues from an environmental audio log, or you can enter the room by force. There's this thing called recycler charges, which are basically like black holes that recycle everything in their way. And that's another thing where the leverage perk comes in really interesting, because with the leverage perk, you can pick up more stuff to throw into a giant pile and then throw a recycler charge at it, and then you get way more resources because you have the leverage perk. It's such a good tech tree in this game. Yeah. They've literally thought about everything. Like, there's no bad. I feel like there's no like perk that I'm like, this is just a straight up bad perk. It's like, this is just a different way to play the game.
Yeah, that's always a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
That sounds it's like just having like abilities that allow you to like go around the world, like solve puzzles, or not even solve puzzles, like it's like just the game, like as if it is like one big puzzle, just find your own solution. It's always, I guess, is that kind of what makes an immersive sim, but like that's what makes like a really good immersive sim.
I did check to see if there was the classic arcane get achievement for not being seen. There is not. There is an achievement for completing the game without killing anyone. So yeah. If you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. I think I killed one person because I was like, this is kind of funny.
It's okay.
And I don't regret killing that one person. He was a horrible person. That's another, like, are we talking about how, like, games somehow do, like, black and white morality?
Yeah, morally grey, and, like you get to question your decisions, right?
Okay, this is, like, a slight spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, don't listen, but, like, in one of the labs, you find a guy in like a laboratory thing, and he says, "Hey, there's a security room over there. Please let me out." Now you can go and let him out, and he'll open that security door for you. But there's also a button on the console that says that you can release mimics into the room that will kill him. If you release the mimics into the room, they will harvest his essence, and you'll be able to spend that on more upgrades. It's like the morality choice of like the little sister in like BioShock.
Yeah.
And
you actually get resources from it instead of.
What makes it really more interesting is if you also go on the computer, you can read why they chose him to be in that cell to be killed, and then you then learn that he's a pretty fucked up guy, and he did some pretty terrible things back on Earth. Like, he's literally goes, no, please don't read what it says on the computer. Please let me out. But yeah, there's so many things like there's like great zero gravity moments. I love space games. Like, I'm a huge fan of like the Outer Wilds. Like, that's such a great like experience of being in space, and like the way they do like zero gravity and being in space and outside and stuff is really well designed in this game as well. But yeah, oh my god, I've played like 30 hours of this for my playthrough, and I feel like I want to play it again. Like, I fucking love this game. Like, I feel like I haven't heard anyone talking about Prey ever. Like, and I feel like it's a criminally underrated game.
Yeah, so when the game came out, they talked about it, but like it wasn't like, I don't think it was like super well received. I think it was like they thought it was good, but like not like an excellent game.
This is probably like a game of 2017. Like,
there is one complaint that I remember people having. Some people seem to have issues like finding like a good build, I guess, or like they basically regret like the perks they put in, or like the ability tree.
I don't understand that, because if you want to, you can get every perk in the game.
Yeah, like, because maybe they just weren't like looking around and like going through like the levels to find more resources. Because
that's one thing is
like you can go around and find more stuff if you get stuck.
The way this game works is you take the raw resources and you craft whatever you want from them, including the ability to upgrade your character. You can craft it infinitely if you want to.
Yeah.
Just by farming.
In that respect, I guess. Yeah, I don't really get that. But I do remember like a couple of people I watched.
There's literally like there's literally a quest that only gets triggered if you start like spam printing neuromods, because then it puts like it revokes the infinite license, and you learn about this story of how there was a plot on Talos 1 where some people were trying to steal neuromods and transport them off to a rival company or something like that.
Right.
But then once you get the key back, you can then start printing them again. So if you want to, you can literally infinitely farm resources in this game, and you can like get every power up in the game if you want to. There is no limit on your build, so I really don't understand that complaint. But
yeah, maybe just that they were stuck early on. Maybe I don't really know.
well, I could definitely see
I can't quite remember anymore.
like early on, you're gonna get your ass kicked by everything, and maybe a lot
fun experience.
Maybe a lot of people are like got their ass kicked early on and were like, oh, this is too hard a game. This isn't for me. But
yeah,
it's like Doom Eternal or like. What did I've played through Boomerang X recently, and I was like, that game is like, it can get pretty challenging. But once you get through it, it's like something clicks in your brain, and then you understand it, and it's like really really fun. Like it doesn't baby you, the game. Like it's difficult for a reason. Like the challenge is fun, and I think that's what like a lot of people like don't understand. Like, I can't blame someone for not liking a game that's hard. Like. If you pick up a game and it's
not for them either.
But,
I don't know.
But the thing is, Prey has difficulty levels. It has 4 of them. Like I think I was playing this on hard difficulty, and yeah, I mean you can put it on an easy mode. You can probably get a mod that will if you get stuck, you can put on a mod that will help you.
Well. It sounds like to me like the problems I remember, like it wasn't so much like, I mean, definitely like, applies into a role, but it's more just like not understanding the mechanics and like how to. I don't remember people talking about recycling as much as you were doing. So maybe they didn't realize that it was like a very heavy resource game. Like you needed to get. Because like, you kind of craft the ammo and like everything really, right? Like you craft ammo, craft resources for the abilities.
This is on my list of like games of the decade, my favorite games of all time. Like this is such a good game, really, really, really well designed. I can't wait to play another. I'm hoping that Arcane does another Prey game because I think that would be really. There is 2 DLCs for this, and I will talk about them in more detail because I've played one of the DLCs. So, Tony, before I told you today, did you know there was a Prey VR game?
No, I did not.
Neither did I.
Never heard of it.
Neither did I until I looked into the DLC for Prey. I literally tried to find footage of Prey VR on YouTube, and I couldn't find anyone playing it. There's literally no footage of it.
Right.
Guys, I've got footage of Prey VR. Don't you worry. I will be the one to put it on YouTube. But they did it in such a weird way because you get the DLC of Moon Crash, which is the roguelite, procedurally generated Prey DLC, and then that gives you the DLC of Typhoon Hunter, which is basically Prop Hunt. Which it was basically
Prop Hunt. Multiplayer thing. It's
multiplayer Prop Hunt, with mimics instead of props.
Yeah.
But then inside that DLC, which is a separate. The Moon Crash DLC is an actual DLC for Prey, which you is a deal. But then Typhoon Hunter is a separate launcher which you launch. If you launch Typhoon Hunter through Steam VR, you can then play the VR mode in it, and the VR mode's really good. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It was developed in. The Typhoon Hunter mode was developed in December 11th, 2018, so right at the end of 2018, along with a virtual reality escape the room set of puzzles. And these puzzles are set before the events of Prey. There's actual, in-game canon lore that shows you, Talos 1 before the mimics came and started fucking everything up. So, yeah, it's pretty...
And that's single player, right? That's not.
Yeah. That's
even though it's in a multiplayer.
So here I am. Here I am in your office. This is like the hub of the game. Is your office? This is where you'll craft everything and do everything in the game. You'll come back here a lot, basically. So there's a mission where you're in Morgan's office. There's a mission where you get to explore the romantic relationship between 2 of the characters, and then there's a mission where you have to assist in Calvino's lab, where you're actually setting up the simulation for Morgan's apartment from the beginning of the game.
Okay.
But I'll talk about that more when I do the VR Tangerine episode, because I've played a bunch of VR games. But yeah, that VR game is really good. But I don't know if it's really good because I love Prey. It's like a VR experience. It's not like a full game sort of thing. But being able to play, like now, because I've played the Half-Life Alyx BioShock VR that I talked about for the on the workshop, and I played like the Prey VR DLC. Guys, there's nothing more immersive about immersive sim than being immersed in VR. I'm gonna tell you, mate. We need more VR immersive sim games. They're really fucking.
I agree with that.
It's an underexplored idea, and I gotta tell you,
from very good experience. Yeah.
From playing them, they're really fucking good. Like it's really cool to the thing about immersive sims is they have really interesting environments. So being able to explore them inside VR is a really fucking good idea. Don't trust looking glasses. They're a scam. They're scary.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was gonna say that isn't like as well, like I feel like it's like almost perfect for VR, because like if you like say, oh well, we can't like do normal gameplay in like VR for whatever reason because of like the player's like too slow and like not like an action hero. But it's like, yeah, but then you can like add immersive sim elements to like make the gameplay easier for someone, but like in an interesting way. Like I feel like there's a lot of unique and creative things you can do in VR.
It knows what you've forgotten.
Yeah, but anyway, Prey 2017 is a masterpiece. If you haven't played this game, you're doing a huge dishonor to yourself. If you're a
Dishonored's definitely outside.
I think like people like to compare this game to BioShock because it is like an immersive sim game. But I feel like from someone who's gone back and actually played the BioShock games, it's almost a disservice because of how linear the original BioShock games actually were. Like, it's a much more like it's much more akin to like Dishonored in terms of like the way you build and control your character, or like another game where you basically can I was gonna say a lot of it reminds me of the Outer Wilds, like the actual way that you can explore the world in any order you choose to, and like the space setting as well. It reminds me of that a lot. But the great thing about this game is you can play it in any way you want, and the game changes based on how you do that. And it's been a long time since I've played a game that's truly like that, and this game is fucking amazing. If you're a fan of good games, if you're a fan of Arcane Studios, if you're a fan of immersive sims, if you're a fan of gaming in general, you're doing yourself a massive disservice by not playing this game. It is truly one of my favourite games that I have played in a very, very long time, and I cannot recommend Prey enough. And I will be talking about it more in the future because this game is really fucking cool.
Are you gonna play it again?
No, I'll play Moon Crash, and I'll also talk about the VR game as well I've been playing. I've played through the whole thing of the VR game, so I'll probably do it. You know, we did the last Tangerine VR roundup. I've got 3 games I've played in VR recently that I have footage for, so we'll do another VR Tangerine roundup, and I'll talk more about it there because, yeah, underappreciated game, and the VR version even more underappreciated because even I didn't know it existed. So
yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out Prey, and also recommend Dishonored Death of the Outsider if you're a Dishonored fan. So yeah, goodbye.
Bye.